before we get going, you in there. So I need you to do something for me. First, get out of full screen. All right. You see down there the subscribe. I want you to click that. All right. Good. And then right next to it, there's a bell. You see the options? You press the bell. Press the bell. Okay. Pick all. You got it? Good. All right. Let's go full screen again. Volkswagen! What's up, everybody? Welcome back. If you saw the last episode, I'm going to be working on the Jetta again. I saw a meme a couple days ago that said, what's it like owning a Volkswagen? It's like, sometimes it's good, and then other times it's shit. Well, this is that shit. So, I mentioned I was going to get into a little bit of reason why the clutch blew up. This clutch is only 2 years old. Since then, I've done some modifications. If you saw, which I will link up top, I replaced the turbo. Upgraded it from the blown KO3 to the KO3S. I know some people are like, why did you go KO4, big turbo? Because the plans I have for this car are not that big. I'll let somebody else do that down the line. But what I did do was I sent the EC out for a tuner. I'll link that up top as well. I had a whole rant as far as what happened with that situation. Fast forward about a month, the tuner reaches out to me, says, hey, so you got the banks involved, yada, yada, yada. Why don't you think that your ECU is tuned? I told them, well, I had a code reader popped on, and it was still reading certain codes, secondary air delete, which was a file that I had ordered, and the car wasn't boosting beyond its normal range. So he tells me that it's a readiness file. So it's going to take some time for it to actually put the code into effect. Now, mind you, I have reached out to this tuner literally like 24 hours afterwards, and this is the first response I've had since reaching out to them for the final time. So for those of you out there who work with companies, you know, communication is a huge deal, especially when it comes to you spending hundreds of dollars on a product. So we had a communication back and forth. I told him I'll take a look into it to see if I can find it. So it turns out that at some point after reinstalling the ECU, my map sensor on the intercooler blew. So first things first, I got to take care of that problem before I can see if there's any other potential codes. Because regardless if anything else does or doesn't show up, that's in the way. I got to take care of that anyway. But I was not seeing the one code that I expected to see. There's only two codes. One was the boost circuit, and then the other one was barometric pressure. I will do a pop-up for those codes somewhere on the screen. So I ordered the new map sensor, popped in the new map sensor, taking it for a test drive. Pull out to the main road. I'm like, all right, cool. I got a straightaway, no one's in front of me. Get in the first gear, takes it up to about 14, 15 PSI. I'm like, okay, maybe we got something here. Second gear, take it into boost, start accelerating. I hit 20, 21-ish. I'm like, okay, this is for real. Pop it in the third, lit off the clutch, bang. Car isn't moving. It's still running. There's no fluids leaking. There's no smoke coming out. The only thing that comes on is the traction control light, which indicates obviously something with the driveline. I take the flashlight out. I start checking behind the wheel wells as I'm able to pull off into a side parking lot. I'm checking axles on both sides. Look good. I don't see any grease or fluid leaking or anything like that. No fluid coming from the differential area. So I'm like, all right. So we're okay in that regard. So the next thing I notice is that if I put it in neutral, it'll run, but then the RPMs drop while the car is sitting, which basically leads to a stall out condition. So mind you, this entire time I have my Vandal plugged up. I can see everything live. I know exactly what's happening from moment to moment. So I limp back to my house. My house is up a hill. So I'm kind of playing with the throttle, keeping it around like 1500 RPMs, got the, hazard lights on, people behind me like, who's this jackass driving down the street doing 15 miles an hour. Fast forward, here we go. Parts are ordered, they're on their way. I'm going to be doing the rear main seal this time around, since I didn't do it last time. Previously it looked good, there was no leakage or anything like that, so I left it alone. And also I was on a very, very, very tight budget. I couldn't afford the extra cost. So this time around, I found some good deals, some better deals. I knew what I was getting into, and I had time to kind of think about what I was going to do. So what I'm going to start doing today is I'm going to take off the front grille and bumper, which is already kind of pre-loosened because I had to replace the map sensor before. So that's not going to take long. Flapping around. Literally, I've got like one bolt in on this side holding the bottom down, and I've got like one bolt in on this side holding this bottom down. All right. So front bumper off to give me some additional clearance. Once that's done, I'm going to take off the air box. I'm going to take out the battery and battery tray, and then I need to take out I need to loosen up the bracket of a few components, and then once that's done, I'm probably going to cut that one off here because I got some family time, because that's what the Wrench Heads is all about. And then hopefully, maybe the next time Joe will be with me, and we will start unbolting the axles to get that portion out of the way. So this is going to be a transmission, suspension, removal, install, upgrade, whatever have you. We'll do some more coaching along the way. We'll try to, keep these. My videos typically come out every Thursday. Joe's are every Sunday. And, Ranting with Wrenches is on Tuesdays. So that's enough of that crap. Let's get to work. Ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you it is hot, it is fucking hot. Sweating like a pig. Trying to make some content for y'all. You better appreciate this shit. Sorry for a low shower though. So, what we got right now, air intake and battery box are out. Okay. So what I'm going to be doing next is we need to remove this. So this is mounted right on top of the starter. So there's normally like a little metal bracket that this slides onto. The last time I took the motor out, I disregarded that bracket only because it would made it completely impossible to reach to get to anything under here when if you were trying to only replace the starter. So right here, I'm gonna see if maybe I can zoom in a little bit. Maybe. Okay, so right here, right in front of my finger, there's a 13 millimeter bolt there, and then at the bottom there's going to be another 13 millimeter bolt. So this is your starter. All right, I believe 10 millimeter nut to remove the ground from the solenoid. Solenoid bolt right here. Okay, that's the ground. 10 millimeter, 10 or 13. I'm not sure which one to take that off. And then once you get this, the top, the bottom, this will slide right out. There's also a clip right here that you need to pinch on both sides and pull. It's right here. There you go. Boom. Take that off. And then we gotta we might be able to get away without disconnecting this power wire or this this bracket right here. So that's going to be my next step. 1, 2, got the third one, or got the third one here, and then disconnect the power, the signal. Okay. So the lower stud, okay, has a 13mm bolt sitting on the front of it, threaded obviously further down, but like so. All right, so that is holding in place your power steering pump line, which is going to wrap around the bottom of your transmission, which is another thing that will have to be loosened up, not taken off, but just loosened up so you can move it out of the way and have some flexibility. So we've got both our studs out, top, bottom. They're identical, so putting them back in a proper order doesn't mean as much, but you can tell that there's a different color to each of them. So just for specificity, whatever, of the trans, I would make sure that you mark these one top, one bottom starter. Or just put them back in the starter. Like voila. Und voila. Like these, my friend. So, battery, air intake, starter are all out. Alright, so let's see how much farther we can go before it's time for me to go. Giggity, giggity. I don't know what that means. So we got a lot more room. You can see everything a little bit more clearly now. So one thing that we are going to have to do, all right, is we are going to have to pop off this. And by this, I mean your shift counterweight. All right. So this is the old style where it basically just pops right on to the ball mount. So with this, you're going to need a box wrench. So the open-ended, you get behind here and you flex it off. Same thing from the bottom. You get underneath it, pry up, and it pops off. This is a 13mm nut that you will need to remove. Okay, and then this clip right here, okay, for the relay arm, which is this, you pop that off. Okay, nice and simple. You lift the tab up top, push it off. Probably a screwdriver would be easiest, and then this whole assembly slides right out. So before I forget, there is a little pin right there, a little black pin. Let's see if I can show it to you. See that black pin? So what we're gonna have to do to lock the transmission in place, all right, is you wanna push down on the counterweight, okay? You wanna turn it 90 degrees and push it ever so slightly until you feel just the slightest click. And that locks your, I just knocked it out. But that will lock your transmission, like the shifting forks, into the home spot. So you don't have to worry about messing up your linkage. All right, so it is very easy to kind of shear off that pin. So be careful. All right. All right. So push it down, turn it slightly, push in, and turn it up, facing straight up 90 degrees. So then when you come back and you push on it, all right, you shouldn't be able, there should be no play in it. Okay? So I'm going to show you what exactly it should look like. So you see the pin face up 90 degrees. This, you turn slightly and push down, and then like I said, you'll feel a little click, very so slightly, and then there's no play. Okay? And then with those loose, you should be able to wiggle this off, okay? Now when you put it back on, you cannot get it wrong because there is a flat notch in there. So towards, you know, your right side, all right, there's a little flat notch that aligns the rest of that. So there's no way you can get it wrong. One part that I did neglect to mention is your transmission speed sensor is located behind this cluster of wires. So right here, okay, that is your, I'm sorry, it's not your speed sensor, it is your position sensor. So this tells you, you know, this knows when you're in reverse or not. So there is another plug right there, pops right in. The good thing about this stuff is that even though these plugs are near each other, you can't get them wrong because they won't plug into each other if they are wrong. All right. So the next thing that we're going to have to do is there is that black cross bracket that you see right there. So that black cross bracket has to come off, okay? That literally connects the trans to the transmission mount to reduce flexing, all right? And then the rest of it is going to be some bolts in the back there. Okay, I'm not sure how well you can see, but we have that. That is your shift linkage mount. So I actually replaced the bushings last time, so they're good. If you want to reduce slop in your shifting, that's one thing you can definitely do. There is another ground right over here that you can take off. And once we do this top stuff, and then obviously the most important thing would be your clutch slave cylinder, which this one's an aftermarket, so it's a little bit harder to get in and out versus the old one because the old one is plastic and it's much shorter. This one is metal, and yeah, I'm not looking forward to taking that out, but we must do what we must do. So I'm going to cut it off here and then pick up next week. Well, not next week, but as soon as I can. For you, it'll be next week. Pick up as soon as I can with the rest of this, and wrench daily.